weekly interview with Rob Stern of Mortgage Solution Financial. Rob has a wealth of information of the American dream of home ownership, credit repair, refinancing, and more. Be prepared to call in with your questions at 972-988-1040. That's 972-988-1040. Rob Stern, Fridays on 1040 AM and 106.9 FM, KGGR.
Hello, Rob. Welcome. Happy Friday.
Well, hello, Miss Autumn, and thank you very much for the chance to be here. And happy Friday to you too. Hopefully, we can keep the rain away.
I know, right? Keep the rain away. Well, let's go ahead and jump right on in. Let's go ahead and give the number in case someone wants to go ahead and call in. 972-988-1040. That's 972-988-1040. We are about to talk real estate. We're about to talk mortgage, loans, credit, all kinds of things, right?
Yes, ma'am. We are gonna talk about how to take better advantage of your money, of your finances.
Yeah.
How to stop wasting money on rent. That's really critical.
Yeah. And I'm a waster.
Well, I mean, that happens. I think that we get caught up in a cycle, and it's very hard to break that cycle sometimes. You start renting a place, an apartment or a house or a condo, whatever, and it becomes very easy and very simple, but it doesn't do you any good. Quite literally, what you're doing when you're renting anything is you're paying off somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
When you could in fact be paying off your own mortgage, and that's a very simplistic way to put it, but the reality is there's nothing that is better for you from a financial perspective than home ownership. And I think, like I said, a lot of people just get caught up in that cycle. It's easy, it's simple. They started renting. I think we all rented when we got out of college. I think that's
yeah.
and you start that cycle, and it just continues and perpetuates. And like I said, it's easy. Now the rents have gotten so expensive, it's actually cheaper to be a homeowner, even with the higher interest rates, than it is to rent. I spoke to a young lady this morning. She said her rent is $2,300 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment.
That just hurt my heart. But wow, giving more clarity to us wasting money, because buying a home, not only is it, now, like you said, cheaper, but also it's an investment. How can it be an investment?
Well, quite literally, every payment you make when you are a homeowner purchasing a home, every payment you make goes towards both your interest and your equity, meaning you owe a little bit less money with each payment that you make on that house. Traditionally, houses have appreciated in the Dallas-Fort Worth area around 8% a year. Now, for the past 2 years, perhaps 3 years, we saw double-digit growth. We saw 21% last year, almost 23% the year before, and the year before that as well. So if you look at it from that perspective, you've got houses, even at 8%, you've got houses that double in value in a 9-year period. Ooh. That means if you pay $200,000 for a house in 9 years, that house should be worth roughly $400,000. More importantly, in 9 years, you'll owe less than what you paid for the house. So that's an investment. That is no different than buying stocks or bonds. It's actually much more secure and safe than buying stocks, because not only are you making an investment in your home, but you're living in your investment. You're not having to pay rent somewhere and try and save money. You literally are saving all your money in your home where you live. Now, if you take that and then you add to that the fact that there are significant taxable benefits from home ownership that could result in you getting back an additional $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year on your tax return. There's every reason to consider home ownership. And it's really something to consider now, especially given all the equity growth that we've seen over the past 3 years. I'm having more and more people come forward that have been in their house for perhaps 10 years, and they're saying, this economy is tough right now. I'm building up a lot of bills. I'm going to use the equity that I've saved in my house, and I'm just going to go ahead and eliminate those credit card bills. I'm going to eliminate my automobile bill. Right now the average car payment's around $600 a month.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in some cases more than that. I've seen car payments for $1,200. So, so the point is, use that equity to your benefit. You remember, when you pay things off with your home's equity, you're paying everything off using tax deductible money. When you, when you pay your debts off with your paycheck, the money you get out of your paycheck, you're using after-tax money, meaning you're using money that's already been taxed by the government, FICA, FUTA, all that stuff. When you use your home's equity, that's your equity, that's your money. There is no taxes charged on that. More importantly, it is also tax deductible money that you're using, because you get to write off all the interest that you pay on that loan.
And that equity can go up. It depends on the neighborhood, the area where you're living.
No, yes, ma'am. No, the equity in just about every case, equity has increased exponentially over the years. Some areas more than others. Some areas are more desirable than other areas. An example, if you want to live in Mansfield, your home equity has gone up faster than if you're living in West Arlington, perhaps.
Or if you live by something huge like Cowboy Stadium.
Sure, Cowboy Stadium, or maybe you live by your church or by your synagogue or your mosque, what have you. That's going to impact your property values, because people who go to church at that location want to live close to their church very often. So there's more of a demand. So I think that's something to say. It's also school districts. If you're in a better school district, your home values are going to go up faster than if you're in a school district that's less than desirable. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand with where you choose to buy your house to begin with. And that's one reason why I think home prices are typically much more expensive in fully developed neighborhoods than they are in these brand new neighborhoods that are being built on the outskirts of town, whether it's at the edge of Red Oak or Ovilla or Melissa or any of these small towns, because you don't know what you're buying. You don't know who's going to be next to you. You don't know whether they're going to build $1 million houses right down the street or perhaps liquor stores. So I think all of these things impact a home's equity, but in every instance, homes do gain equity. You get that equity from two sides. You get it from paying down your original note, and you also get it from the overall growth in the property that you have that you've chosen to purchase. So right now, like I said, a lot of people are doing home equity loans, taking cash out of their house, eliminating this debt that's accumulated over the years. We had COVID. COVID was a big debt accumulator. A lot of people ran up debt during COVID because maybe they weren't working as much as they would, or what have you, or they couldn't work, they were ill. Then we made it through COVID, and then the economy kind of went upside down on us, and so now people are incurring or encountering more debt just because groceries. I mean, you go to the store, you can spend $200 on groceries and walk out with four or five bags. It's so expensive. Gasoline the other day, overnight gas went up 35 cents a gallon. Does that make any difference? That's not even logical.
It's not even logical. It seems like everything is going up, and even in the last few years, the price of homes have gone up. But I'm hearing that even for homes, they're coming down a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. The pricing of homes has settled down quite a bit. Not so much
Okay.
with home builders, but certainly with existing homes, pre-owned homes. I think that there are more homes in the marketplace now than there were this time a year ago or 2 years ago.
Mhm.
We still do not have a balanced housing market, meaning it's still a seller's market, but there's
Right.
more inventory available than there has been previously. It is anticipated in the Fort Worth and Dallas areas, and I say that because we are somewhat of an anomaly here, but it's anticipated in the Fort Worth and Dallas areas that will correct itself, and we will start seeing the sale of home prices go up again as we work through the remainder of the summer. You know,
Oh.
oddly enough, we had the Federal Reserve pause on their interest rate increases, which was a really big thing
Mhm.
this last Federal Reserve meeting, and we talked about that last week. But the Federal Reserve did something very odd, at least odd in my opinion. They said, we're not going to raise rates this time, but we do expect to raise rates again 2 times this year. So they kind of they gave us a blessing with one hand and took it away with the other hand.
Yeah.
I think honestly what they really were doing was sending up a very significant message to us saying we want to see how the economy responds to this news before we continue raising rates. So we'll see. There's no guarantee that rates are going to continue to go up, and rates are still very attractive when you consider the fact that when I got in this business 30 plus years ago, rates were double digits, 10.5%, 11.5%. So
Yeah.
interest rates are higher than they were, but they're not as high as they could be, and there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity out there in the marketplace.
Wow. I wish there was something that we, the people, could do to help change it.
Well, I mean, there is when it comes election time. I think we need to be very,
Exactly.
very, very thoughtful about how we vote this time. And instead of casting a vote against somebody else, we should put a politician in office that we actually want to govern and have some level of control over our national economy.
Well, there you have it. So if you want change, that's how to make change happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the number to call is 972-988-1040. If you want to go ahead and give us a call, we have Rob right here in living color. So you can give us a call at 972-988-1040. So Rob, how does all of this affect veterans? Because there's always, and we thank you to all of you who have served our country, but there's always something, a ram in the bush for our veterans.
Yeah, veterans, and I get kind of mixed responses from the veterans that I talk to, and I speak to several veterans each week. The general consensus is that the VA has made some pretty significant changes. Actually, the last administration made these changes, and the VA has done a lot to improve the way the veterans are being dealt with, are being addressed and handled. Certainly from a medical perspective, as well as just from the day-to-day benefits they receive. But I think what's going on right now with veterans is something that nobody else has the ability or the opportunity for. A veteran can buy a home right now with absolutely no money whatsoever, depending on their credit. What we would do is we would use their VA for no down payment, and then we would use a closing cost assistance program to pay all their closing costs. So quite literally, they could get into that home with absolutely no money whatsoever. But again, it's a matter of structure. It's a matter of you have to start out somewhere. And if you're a veteran and you're listening or watching this broadcast, there is never going to be a better time to become a homeowner. Right now, prices are, yeah, that's right. Prices are are fair. I can't say they're cheap, but prices are certainly fair for what we have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And you're paying so much money in apartment rent and housing rent right now. It doesn't make sense to not be a homeowner. We're doing everything we can to put veterans in homes. In addition to no down payment, I can also give them a 30% exaggerated allowance as far as their debt ratios. So we can give a veteran a debt ratio as high as 65%, which is 30% more than the typical consumer, meaning they can buy basically 35% more house than anybody else can with their same income.
Oh, okay. Because when you say 30% in allowance, I'm thinking you're handing me cash, but it's
No,
kind of the same thing, I guess.
well, it is kind of sort of the same thing. So, you know, another issue is that veterans who are receiving some sort of a service-connected disability are entitled to tax abatements, meaning they don't have to pay the same amount of property taxes that we pay for
Wow.
homeowners. So there's every reason for a veteran to strive to become a homeowner. And quite literally, if there's an issue right now and you know, and the veteran cannot qualify for whatever reason, then we'll work together with that individual and get them to a point where they can qualify. Our goal is to put everybody into a home. That's exactly what we've done over the past 30 plus years, what we aspire to continue to do. The whole reason why we do this show on KGGR every week.
Well, as it relates to the veterans, I mean, they have so many things that they can take advantage of. So when it comes to helping, have you run into any kind of problems that that we may need to prepare for in advance before getting to you?
You know, I think that the problems always seem to center around income,
Okay.
and just being transparent about where that income is generated from. You know, the amount of money that you have on hand, cash on hand is not acceptable. We need to see that money in a bank account. So clearly, if you are going to get $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is from mom and dad, but they want to give it to you cash, take the money and put it into your bank account as quickly as possible, because we need to be able to source that money. We can't use you know, cash, greenbacks. That doesn't work. You know, we need to see we need to see where that money comes from. But you know, income is something else that is consistently a concern. If you are in fact self-employed, we need to see 2 years of self-employment typically. If you are perhaps a trucker and you're paid in a fashion that is not consistent with typical compensation, meaning maybe they pay you by the mile or they pay you by the load instead of paying you on an hourly basis. You know, we're going to want to see 2 years history of that kind of compensation so that we have something to average together, something to base our decision on. When it's W-2 income, it's very simple and very easy. If it's hourly, it's very simple and very easy. But not everybody's compensated or paid the same way. So quite literally, the right thing to do is to give me a call and let me help you work through the process. My telephone number is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. You can call me anytime. You can reach me on the internet. Go to Lenders Texas, spelled out LENDERSTEXAS.com. But just give me a holler. Or you can reach us on the air as well. Call 972-988-1040. I love talking to people on the air. I mean, we had some great conversations last week and the week before. You know, I think that the more we can talk to people in this type of a forum where where we have participation from callers, the more encouraged
Mm.
people are about moving forward and doing something.
Yeah.
We know how many people are living in apartments, quite literally, Autumn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look, they're not building apartments everywhere for nothing.
Right.
I mean, all these
They're building them everywhere.
everywhere. And that's because people are living in them. So, you know, again, this is a very heartfelt plea, if nothing else. Don't waste your money on rent. You know, invest in yourself, pay your own mortgage, not somebody else's mortgage. And don't worry about your credit, because the credit can always be put back together.
Rob, I feel we can't stress this enough, not to self-diagnose. I think there's so many people moving into apartments, living in apartments, because they don't know that they can actually buy a home. They're listening to an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, or someone to say, well, you need this credit, you need this amount of money. And so you're the one to call, because you have a lot of information that, I mean, we just don't know.
Well, hey, you're right. And I think, and I know that when people give advice, they do it with the best of intentions. I
Yeah.
mean, nobody tells you something with the intention of screwing things up.
Right.
But unfortunately, there are so many ways to buy a house. There are so many ways to get approved for a mortgage loan.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is not take the advice of a third party.
Yeah.
Give us a call. That's so important, and you're absolutely right. I've had people call me before saying things like, well, I haven't saved up enough money because my aunt says that I need to have 20% to put down. Well, you don't have to have 20% for a down payment.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point in time, depending on the economic climate, perhaps 50 years ago, maybe you did, but no, you can buy a home with as little as no money down. You just
Yeah.
need to have the right structure and be dealing with the right people. You know, I've had people call me on the phone and tell me, my credit's just not good enough to buy a home, and so I'm not going to do anything right now. But when I pull their credit, they are approvable, and I can get them into a home. It's just that they've had somebody else tell them no. And I know we've been over this before. Excuse me. I know we've been over this before on the show, but I don't like the word no. I like the word eventually. I like the word not now. You know, but everybody has the ability to qualify for a mortgage loan. It just needs to be structured. So what we do, and this is very specific to us, is we will create an action plan for success. We will create an action plan with anybody that calls as far as how to move forward and how to become a homeowner. If you can do it right now, that's great. And most people have no difficulties. If you need to do some things and maybe clean a few things up on your credit, or take care of some bills, or save a little bit more money up, what have you, that's okay. We can talk through it and create a success plan, an action plan to move forward. I've got people that I've been working with for, 3 years as far as creating an action plan, and they're finally there. We call that a pipeline. We call that that's a huge win. That's a great opportunity for us to say this is the success you can have if you commit yourself and you focus yourself to home ownership. Most of the time, qualifying is not difficult, and we've put a lot of people, a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers into homes that thought they could never become homeowners.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it is very important not to listen to the naysayers. If you have been told no before, don't stop there. Let's make Rob Stern the next stop, right?
Well, and you're right, and I appreciate that. I'm listed with the Better Business Bureau here in the Dallas marketplace, and I think that's very important for people to know. The Better Business Bureau is clearly a seal of approval to a large extent. Anybody that's not listed with the Better Business Bureau, I would be concerned about, because they're not standing behind their business and their ethics. I've been with the Better Business Bureau with an A++ rating for, I don't know, probably 20, 25, 30 years. No complaints whatsoever. And I think that's real important. We want people to have confidence in
Yeah.
in what we say to them, in what we tell them. The reality is, it's okay to dream. It's okay to put together a plan for the future, but you got to start somewhere, and you need to make sure you're dealing with people that you
Got
can
to.
trust and you have confidence in. Yes, ma'am. So,
Yes, absolutely. I know there are so many horror stories out there.
well, there are, and
Uh,
I, you know, and
mm,
I know. Back when I was working with Robert Ashley, and of course he's not with us any longer on the show. But one week, and maybe we can do this next week. One week we actually asked people to call in with stories that they've had concerning their mortgage difficulties, and we got so
yeah.
many phone calls from so many people. Um, you know, it's really crazy, Autumn. But as a consumer, most people will buy a home or maybe two homes in their entire lifetime. Now,
Yeah.
having done this for 32 years, 33 years, I've financed literally thousands of homes and done $1 billion transactionally. What I take for granted,
Wow.
other people have no idea. I don't expect the consumer to know exactly what it takes to buy a home, and unfortunately,
Right.
when you're a consumer, you have to be very careful who you talk to, because that lack of knowledge, that lack of wisdom, can also put you into a compromising situation if you're speaking to someone that's
Yeah.
brand new to the industry, or someone who doesn't have that same depth of knowledge. So again, clearly the goal is to give us a call. My telephone number again is 972-739-2350. That is 972-739-2350. You can also find me on the internet. Just go to Lenders Texas. That's spelled out LendersTexas.com. You can find me on Facebook as the Lenders Residential Mortgage Team. But the main thing is, don't delay. Don't let yourself procrastinate. It's too
Yeah.
easy to put things off. Refinancing your home and taking equity out, now is the right time to give me a call. If you want to become homeowner and stop wasting money on rent, now is the right time to give me a call. But take action today, and you'll be happy tomorrow. I promise.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Rob Stern. I think that soon we need to maybe bring up a real life scenario and actually go through approving someone. That would be awesome if we could approve someone on the air.
Oh, that'd
And
be
maybe we come
fun.
up with a fake story where we can actually see ourselves in that story. So I
Yeah.
think that'll work.
I'm gonna have to noodle
Okay.
on that one. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But yeah, that'd be cool. I really
Yeah, figure that one
appreciate.
out.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you taking the time to visit with me today, Autumn, and I thank you for everything. Have a wonderful weekend, and try not to get too hot. It's really uncomfortable outside.
It is. It is. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Rob.
Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
KGGR invites you to tune in at 1 p.m. on Fridays